In the early 1940s, as World War II raged across continents, the United States sought every advantage it could find against its formidable enemies. One of the most unexpected and invaluable contributions came from a group of Navajo soldiers, whose unique language became the foundation of an unbreakable military code. Philip Johnston, a World War I veteran and son of a missionary, was one of the few non-Navajo who spoke the language fluently. Johnston proposed the idea of using the Navajo language as a code to the U.S. Marine Corps, convinced that its complexity and unwritten nature made it perfect for secure communication. The Marines were skeptical but intrigued, and they decided to test the concept. Johnston arranged a demonstration in February 1942, bringing together 4 Navajo men to show how their language could be used to send and receive coded messages quickly and accurately. The Marine officials were impressed and immediately saw the potential. They approved the recruitment of 30 Navajo men to form the initial group of Code Talkers. Joe Hosteen, a young Navajo man from the reservation, was among the first to be recruited. Growing up, Joe had been immersed in the Navajo language and culture, but he had also learned English at a government boarding school. Alongside Joe were 28 other Navajo men, selected for their fluency in both languages. These men left their homes and families, driven by a sense of duty and the promise of adventure. The recruits underwent rigorous training at Camp Elliott in California. They were not only trained as Marines but also tasked with developing a secure code. The Navajo recruits created a system where Navajo words represented military terms, making the code even more impenetrable. For instance, the Navajo word for turtle was used to represent a tank, and chicken hawk stood for a dive bomber. Training was intense and demanding. The recruits had to memorize the entire code, which included over 400 terms. They practiced sending and receiving messages under simulated combat conditions, ensuring they could perform flawlessly in the heat of battle. Despite the grueling schedule, the men bonded over their shared heritage and mission. Deployed to the Pacific Theater, the Navajo Code Talkers quickly proved their worth. In the chaos of battle, clear and secure communication was crucial. Joe and his fellow Code Talkers transmitted messages that directed troop movements, coordinated attacks, and relayed critical information. The Japanese, adept at code breaking, were baffled by the Navajo language. One notable instance was during the Battle of Iwo Jima. Major Howard Connor, the signal officer of the 5th Marine Division, had 6 Navajo Code Talkers working around the clock. They sent and received over 800 messages, all without error. Connor later stated, "Were it not for the Navajos, the Marines would never have taken Iwo Jima." Joe and his comrades faced constant danger. They were often stationed at the front lines to ensure swift communication. They endured harsh conditions, from the sweltering heat of the jungle to the relentless artillery bombardments. Despite this, they remained resolute, knowing their work was crucial to the war effort. Despite their vital contributions, the Code Talkers faced discrimination both within the military and in civilian life. They were often underestimated and mistreated. In one instance, Joe and his fellow Code Talkers were mistakenly detained by military police who doubted their legitimacy as soldiers. They had to carry special identification to prove their role. The Code Talkers also dealt with the prejudice ingrained in the broader society. They were fighting for a country that often treated them as second-class citizens. Yet, their determination and sense of duty never wavered. They were fighting not just for the United States, but also for the honor of their people and their land. As the war ended, the secrecy surrounding the Navajo Code Talkers' role persisted. The code remained classified, and the Code Talkers were instructed not to discuss their work, even with their families. It wasn't until 1968 that their contributions were declassified and could be publicly acknowledged. In 1969, the Code Talkers were finally allowed to speak about their work. Over the years, their story gained recognition, and efforts were made to honor their service. In 2001, President George W. Bush awarded the surviving Code Talkers and the families of those who had passed away the Congressional Gold Medal and Silver Medal, honoring their extraordinary service. Joe Hosteen and his fellow Code Talkers returned to their communities as heroes. They had used the power of their language and heritage to protect their country and allies. Their story is a testament to the incredible impact of cultural diversity and the unyielding spirit of those who fight for justice and freedom. The Navajo Code Talkers remain an enduring symbol of bravery, ingenuity, and the power of unity in the face of adversity. In the years following the war, Joe and the other Code Talkers continued to share their experiences, educating others about their unique contribution to history. Monuments and memorials were erected in their honor, and their story was told in books, documentaries, and films, ensuring that future generations would remember and respect their legacy. This story is based on historical events and honors the real-life contributions of the Navajo Code Talkers during World War II. Their legacy continues to inspire and remind us of the vital role that every culture and individual can play in shaping history.